Hello and welcome. I am especially excited about this one. This is a big reveal for me. You know how some motoring people get very excited about collecting supercars, hypercars, sports cars or whatever. This for me is a really big deal. I am super in love with this car already. It's the first time anyone's seen it. Obviously apart from me. It's been delivered. It's in the state it was delivered in. I've done nothing to it. And without further ado, let me introduce you to Baccara. Baccara. Look, I own a Renault Clio Baccara with patina. Would you call that patina? Whatever. It's a Baccara and it's mine. This is the car I've wanted to own for an awfully long time. And unlike the Laguna, which is there, which is quite disposable, this one is a keeper. This is one of those cars where, yeah, you'll spend money on it. You'll keep it looking nice because it's a luxury super mini. And I've missed a chance to buy a Renault 5 Baccara, and I've missed a chance to buy a Renault 25 Baccara, or Baccara, if you're foreign. So the Clio is the last chance saloon, or the last chance super mini, because I'm not really interested in a Fiesta Vignale or anything like that. So, yeah, I own a Clio Baccara. And yes, it's seen better days. That bonnet, yeah, the bonnet's long gone. I might have to go for the matte black look on that. But aside from that, oh, the goats have woken up. Aside from that, it's untidy. Let's be honest, it's untidy. So what we'll do, we'll get it out of here so you can see it start up. Look at that. My very own Clio Baccara. This is one of those cars that well, personally, I'm constantly on eBay just on the off chance that one of these comes up. It's one of those cars that you drop everything to buy. There's a list, I've got a list of about a dozen cars that the price was right and the provenance was right or whatever, I would do everything I can to get it. Now, this is definitely not the best Clio Baccara in Britain, Europe, or even in Devon, I doubt. But it's one of those kind of roulette wheel opportunities where you think at some point the opportunity is going to go. As I say, the Renault 5 Baccara, forget it, I'm not going to get one of them. The Renault 25 Baccara, I'd love one, but even I'm not brave enough to buy one of them, he says, knowing that he's got a £100 Laguna over there, ready to go on the road. But I just love the Mark 1 Clio. I think the shape has aged beautifully. I'd love an RSI, I'd love a 16 valve, you know, I'd kill for a Williams. They're not going to happen. And besides, I've got plenty of Citroen hot hatches. So I was, you know, a luxury super mini. It's very French. And I think, as I say, I think that shape is gorgeous. Yes, it's 5-door, and I think the 3-door does look better, but this is a luxury car. You've got to have sort of doors in the back. Yes, only one of those fog lights works, but can you imagine how good they'll look when they're both yellow? I'm thinking good things about that. I'm going to turn it off because I don't really know anything about how well the engine's running yet or what needs to be done to her. One thing you'll probably notice when you heard her moving about is that there's an exhaust bracket that was definitely on the way up underneath there. That's a small job to sort out. But yeah, I'm just gonna turn her off and show you around. The first thing to say about the Clio Baccara, or Baccara, I've heard different pronunciations for Baccara, but I'm going for Baccara because I'm British, Marlene. And I think if I try and make it sound anything other than British, it's going to sound awful. So we're going to go for Baccara. Try and understand why it didn't really sell in the UK. This thing cost £15,000 I've got the original receipt. It was just under £15,000 when this car was new in 1995. To put that in perspective, that's 27.5 grand in today's money. And that was about £1,500 more than the 16 valve and about £3,500 more than the RSI. So they're asking an awful lot for this car. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, not many people bought it. But what did you get for that money? Well, you got metallic paint. And this one, believe it or not, is green. It's hard to tell in this light. You get the fingertip controls, which I've got on the Laguna. You got electric sunroof, which I'll show you in a minute. You've got leather, which was a £720 option on Clio. the most expensive option you could buy on the Clio in 1995. They got a 4-speed auto. You've got wood, and those unique alloys. I need to do some research, but I don't think they appeared on any other Clio. I could be wrong, and someone will put something in the comments if I am, but I think they're unique to the Baccara. I think the Mark 1 is the best looking Clio of all. Now this is a Phase 2 Mark 1, which had a slightly different grille at the front, and I think the other cosmetic change was around the back. I think the lights are slightly different. And I think the badges, the Renault badge was moved from there to there. Same with the Clio badge. And I think this, what would you call that? Some sort of effect. It's kind of reflective. That was different on these ones. And I think the lights are different, but I think they're interchangeable from the Phase 1 to the Phase 2. But this was the last of the good-looking Mark 1s, because I think slightly went downhill with the Phase 3. And then, of course, it all went downhill. Well, no, it didn't. But I just prefer the Mark 1 to any other shape Clio. I remember driving the current shape Clio on its launch, and it felt like a Megane. I had to keep telling myself it's not a Megane. You'll notice I've got some foliage there. So it's a very green Clio. I'm doing my bit for the environment by growing trees. So it's the carbon offset in action as we speak. Notice the little Clio Baccara badges. Look at that. An insignia. Look at that. I just adore that. Like I say, the wheels, they do need a bit of attention, but they're mine because they're on the Clio Baccara. The bonnet is probably best not to say much about the bonnet. Some work to be done on that, and same with the roof. It's going to need some attention at some point. But I think it might come up. There are bits that won't come up with any amount of elbow grease or skill. For example, there is some rust coming through on the arches there, but it's not too far gone. I can certainly rescue that. It needs a good old clean, which will be exciting. That's probably the worst bit of bodywork if we take the bonnet out of the equation. That's the worst bodywork. Again, some light touching up required there. Of course, the big thing about, not the big thing, there is a thing about the Clio. You open the boot, which does open. You'll notice it's got this rather natty parcel shelf with a suit carrier. So if you're going off to one of your French meetings in Paris, or taking coffee with your mistress, you could put her address in there, and away you go with Nicole. So you can't do any Clio review without mentioning the name Nicole, obviously. I don't think it's properly on. I think there's, yeah, it's not looking too good. So I'm just going to pretend that's all fine and shut the boot down. Obviously it's a 5-door. So as you're wafting down, what would it be, an A4? There's a big motorway in France, the A4. You've got wood. Winding windows. What a novelty. Ashtrays. Mat pockets on both seats. Knee room isn't great. I'm 6 foot something, and my knees aren't enjoying this experience. But it has got a sunroof, as you can see, with blinds. Although this one, God knows how we're going to get hold of it, but the clip's gone, so it doesn't clip anymore. But it has got sunroof blinds. That one does work. Beautiful. Let the light flood in. Yeah. So leather seats, but no CD player. So sorry, feeder, you got it wrong. You obviously weren't talking about. Well, you're talking about a Jaguar, not a Clio, anyway. So that was completely wrong. Ashtrays for the Gitan and Gawa in the back. But obviously, around the front is where it's at. Look at this leather. There's 100,000 miles worth of leather wear and tear there, but it hasn't gone through. So again, possibly can be saved. The original Clio Baccara mats, well, I don't know, it's probably just Clio mats, aren't they? Again, I'll need to look into this, but I'm not sure if they were bespoke to the Baccara. I don't know enough about Clio mats to pass comment on that. With the time on board, got the familiar fingertip controls. More wood. And look, Baccara. Yes, sir, I can Baccara. Incidentally, that was 1977, and that was the biggest selling song of the year. I think they sold something like 16 million copies. And this was the days when Baccara sold copies of I Can Boogie. They were physical copies. It wasn't like today where you downloaded stuff or listened to it on Spotify. You actually had to physically go and buy the single. So that was no mean feat for those Spanish girls. I think they were the most successful female act of all time, or something. Obviously, Kate Bush hadn't quite arrived yet, and everything changed. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Kate Bush. More wood, hiding the radio. Again, very French. Don't know if that radio works. I haven't got any Hadaway cassettes on me, but we'll just see if it does work. Oh, it needs a code. Oh, lovely. Well, the fact that it's asking for a code is a good start, but we won't be playing any Hadaway tonight, I'm afraid. No air conditioning. I think air conditioning was an option on the Clio at this time, but this hasn't got it. 4-speed auto, as I said. Ashtray. Never been smoked in, which is surprising for a French Super Mini, although obviously this one isn't in France. What else? Glove box with original handbooks, manuals and the works, and weirdly a spare mirror. So I reckon somebody might have been taught to drive in this in the past. Yep, and a fuse. Sorry, a bulb. Electric windows in the front, unlike the back. And as I say, electric sunroof. I haven't checked that. I'm not going to check it, because that is a dangerous thing to check when it's outside, because you just don't know if it will start again. Rather amusingly, one of the biggest buttons in here is for the bonnet release cable. So Renault must have seen the future. Got an airbag, which is convenient. Single airbag, I think, in this one. But this, look at that, bit of leather on there as well. Leather and wood, I mean, that's just perfection. Just perfection. What else can we say about this car? Well, the Mark I was phenomenally successful for Renault. It was the European Car of the Year in '91, on the year it came out. And by 1994, it represented 50% of UK sales. So it was massive. And I think by the time the Mark I finished in, when was it, 98, 97? They sold something like 300,000 of these things. Obviously, not many of them were Baccaras, because the British don't have taste. But I think that's a fabulous looking thing. So yeah, that's the introduction to my new Clio, and to say I'm pleased would be an understatement. I'm absolutely delighted to have one of these. As I say, it's been on my want list or my eBay wish list for many months, and I just finally took the plunge. Didn't expect it to be here alongside a Laguna. Didn't expect to have a Laguna in my life, full stop. I've now got 3 Renaults. The Megane is coming back tomorrow, so the next video will probably be an introduction to the Megane with its fresh MOT and fresh list of fixes. And then I guess we ought to move on to the ZX and the Mercedes. But yeah, really, really pleased with this. It's on a McLaren 720S or a Porsche or anything like that, but these are the kind of cars that make me happy, and if you'll indulge me, I'll continue to wax lyrical about cars like this over the next months, years, however long you'll have me. So like, subscribe, visit petrolblog.com, send hobnobs if you can, because I now own 3 Renaults. God help me.